Good morning. So quick talk before I head out to work. I know some people were asking about blood sugars and how we manage that. The one organ I want to talk about right quick is the liver. So if we're looking at how we're, processing food and carbohydrates and sugars, let's look at this. So in your body, your body, when you process and eat food, and no matter what you're eating, it's going to spike your blood sugar. Why? Because think of the bloodstream as like a train. You eat a bunch of food, a lot of the sugars jump on the train. So if you eat something that's like high in sugars, like candies, cookies, things like that, you get a whole lot of sugar on that train in your bloodstream. Well, the conductor, we'll call that insulin, goes ahead and he has all this sugar on the train. And he realizes that there's way too much sugar on this train. So his goal is to try to get the sugar off the train. So it goes over to your liver, your fat, and your muscles. Now, if you're using your muscles, great place. The body can get those, the insulin can get the sugars off that train and get it inside the muscles, and we can use it for energy. So we're burning stuff. Now, if we're not moving, what happens is that the sugar that was so full at that point on the train, they go over to the fat and the liver. There it sits and it just gets stored. It just sits there. It becomes a fatty liver. It becomes fat around the gut, fat around your back, big back. You wind up having fat hanging right there. The bad thing about having that fat is that fat is super toxic. So the longer it sits there, the more you set yourself up for inflammation, for cancers. So you want to make sure that you're trying to mobilize that fat back into glucose. And what do? You stop eating all that processed food, all that cookies, candies, and things like that, stuff that's not real food. If you starve your body of that stuff, then the body's like, oh no, I don't have any more sugar. So it will take that fat, change it into glucose, which is used for energy, and you're like and it's falling off because you're actually mobilizing that fat. And if you put exercise into it, it pulls the fat off that gut and off your organs, because the fat just kind of sits around the organs and it sits inside the liver. Some people get that fatty, non-alcoholic liver. That's the fat sitting inside the liver. But if you mobilize it, you can get it out of there. Once you're doing that, eating right, eating foods that has fiber in it, because you have fiber foods in there, you don't have that big train full of sugar. It goes down slower. Therefore, your body can get rid of it better, as opposed to having that big dump of sugar, inside the body. So you want to eat foods that have fiber in it. So you're going to look at your fruit. I will emphasize berries, apples, pineapple, things like that for your fruit. And then for your liver to be healthy, you want to look at things. We said the word cruciferous. That just means you want asparagus, kimchi. What else is there? So much lettuce, but cabbage, asparagus, spinach. You want those type of things in your body. Artichokes. Those things your liver loves, and it helps it to mobilize and keeps it clean. So that's the quick down and dirty of it. We'll do a few of these off and on, but I just figured I'd just start with that. Any questions? Feel free to contact me.